The Mongolian Empire is one of the largest and most powerful empires in world history. Located in East and Central Asia, this empire controlled a large area and had a great influence on politics, economy, and culture during the Middle Ages. The empire was led by the legendary leader Genghis Khan and later succeeded by his successors, including Genghis Khan's grandson, Kublai Khan. In addition to possessing extraordinary military power, the Mongolian Empire was also known for its capabilities in commerce, administration, and diplomacy. So in this video, we're going to take a deeper dive into the Mongolian Empire and how they influenced world history. Initially, the Mongolian people consisted of several nomadic tribes who lived as cattle herders. They move according to the seasons and occupy temporary tents. Even though they have a similar lifestyle, these tribes are often at war and in conflict with each other. Temujin, or better known as Genghis Khan, is the son of Yasuge Bagadar, who is the chief of the Kiad tribe, a small tribe in Mongolia. One day, on his way back to their village after carrying out the tradition of selecting a bride for Genghis, Yasuge was poisoned to death by an enemy. After the death of his father, Genghis Khan's life became very difficult. He had to accept the fact that his father was betrayed by their confidants. For years he lived in exile just to save his life. However, despite living in poverty and limitations, Genghis realized that when he was a Khan, he inherited his father's throne as a Kiad chief. Along with his grudge against his father's betrayal and death, Genghis avenged himself and reclaimed his position. When he grew up, Genghis returned to pick up his bride, Bort. He was then trusted by Togrul to become the commander of the Karat military tribe. Tigray was the head of the Karat tribe. From here, Genghis Khan began to expand his power through diplomacy and war. After managing to find nomadic tribes under his leadership, Genghis Khan founded the Mongol Empire in 1206. From here, the empire began to grow and develop into one of the largest and most powerful empires in world history. While leading the Mongolian Empire, Genghis Khan expanded his realm by conquering many areas in Central Asia. In the period from 1206 to 1227, he led military attacks on various countries and succeeded in conquering many regions such as Persia, North China, and Russia. In fact, its power extended to reach Arabia, Southeast Asia, and Eastern Europe, making it one of the largest empires in world history. During his reign, Genghis Khan used innovative and ruthless military strategies, and was renowned for his skills in commanding troops and conducting reconnaissance. He also implemented an effective system of government, such as the division of territories and the abolition of the death penalty. Genghis's policies made the Mongolian Empire wider and more prosperous. However, the more popular and richer the Mongolian Empire became, the discipline of the people decreased. They enjoyed prosperity more often, partied and exercised less. As a result, several empires failed to be conquered by Genghis, such as the Khwarezmian Empire in Persia, the Jin Empire in North China, and the Song Empire in South China. Although Genghis Khan managed to capture several important cities of the Khwarezmian Empire and the Jin Empire, the fact remains that he did not manage to conquer all of their territories. In his old age, Genghis Khan was forced to lead troops on a military campaign to destroy the Abbasid Empire for the umpteenth time. However, his troops lacked training and discipline, and often resorted to drunkenness, which weakened their military capabilities. Genghis Khan had health problems and his strength began to decline, but he continued to lead his troops until the end of his life. Until finally, he died in the war. After Genghis Khan's death, his loyal commanders decided to keep his death a secret from his troops so as not to affect their morale. They managed to conquer the Abbasid Empire, although Genghis Khan himself did not see the victory. Genghis Khan died at the age of around 65 to 72 years, leaving several wives and 4 children, namely Hochi, Chagatai, Obadai and Tului. Before the death of Genghis Khan, his 4 sons were assigned to lead troops in the Mongolian territory. According to some sources, Genghis Khan had many illegitimate children, but the most famous are 4 of them. Genghis Khan's death left a leadership vacuum within the Mongol Empire. However, in an effort to maintain stability, his 3rd son, Obadai Khan, was chosen to succeed the throne inherited from his father. He has great ability in negotiating, governing the empire, and has a humble and not arrogant nature. Obadai Khan was the third son of Genghis Khan, born in 1185. After his father's death, Obadai Khan became the second Khan of the Mongol Empire in 1229, succeeding his older brother Hochi, who had died. As the hope of the entire Mongolian people, Obadai Khan's leadership succeeded in bringing about the expansion of the Mongol Empire and strengthening its military power in Asia. Obadai continued the policy of imperial expansion pursued by his father, Genghis Khan, by sending troops to Central Asia and the Middle East. He also succeeded in destroying the Jin dynasty, which his father had previously failed to conquer. Apart from that, with the strength of millions of military soldiers at his disposal, Obadai Khan also carried out military campaigns to the European kingdoms. One of the most famous military campaigns was the Mongol invasion of Europe led by the famous general, Subutai. In 1237, Subutai's Mongol army conquered Kievan Russia and destroyed major cities such as Kiev, Vladimir, and Chernigov. After that, the Mongol armies continued their invasion of Central and Western Europe, including Poland, Hungary, Austria, and Germany. European history records the great atrocities and terror committed by the Mongolian Empire against the people of Europe. Even though he was known to be very cruel during war, in fact Obadai Khan was known as a very wise and just leader by the Mongolian people. He introduced stricter laws in the empire. Unlike his father, who abolished the death penalty, Obadai Khan actually imposed the death penalty for corrupt officials or those who committed acts that were detrimental to the Mongolian Empire. During his reign, the Mongolian Empire also became an important trading center, with various merchandise being traded throughout Asia. Obadai also introduced a new system of government called Decay, or One Rule, which governed how the territories controlled by the empire were governed and managed. This system regulated government, commerce, and the military, and allowed the empire to collect taxes and funds from the territories it controlled. He also built roads and developed an effective communication system, including a postal network and an instant messaging system known as YAM. Obadai Khan is considered one of the most important leaders in Mongolian history because of his success in organizing and strengthening the administrative structure of the Mongolian Empire. However, after ruling the Mongolian Empire for 12 years, in 1241, Obadai Khan passed away. Obadai Khan's death was caused by a heart attack during a military campaign in the southwestern region of the empire. After the death of Obadai Khan, disputes arose among military chiefs and political leaders over who would succeed him as Khan. At that time, Obadai's son, Gyaik, was considered a strong candidate to become the next Khan, but factions supported other candidates such as Obadai's younger brother, Tului, or Genghis Khan's other sons such as Badu Khan. In the end, Gyaik Khan won the competition and became Khan in 1246. However, Guyuk's leadership did not fare well due to his authoritarian and corrupt tendencies. He frequently abused his power and strained his relations with the Mongol nobility. After 2 years leading the Mongolian Empire, Gyaik Khan met his death. After Guyuk's death in 1248, there was an even greater crisis of succession. There were 3 strong candidates vying to become the next Khan, namely Guyuk's very young son, Tului's son, Mong, and Guyuk's cousin, Kaidan. This feud lasted for several years and culminated in the Battle of Kosair in 1251, where Mongki's forces defeated the Kaidan forces and confirmed his position as the next Khan. Under Mongki's leadership, the Mongol Empire reached its peak. He launched successful military campaigns to conquer the southern Song, paving the way for Mongolian domination of all of China. However, in the midst of his campaign in China, Mongke died suddenly in 1259 of a heart attack. Mongke's death without a clear heir sparked a protracted civil war between the disparate descendants of Genghis Khan, which then split the empire into 4 separate parts. There was a struggle for succession among the potential successors. The Mongol army was divided into two opposing camps, one led by Mongol Khan's brother Arikbok and the other led by Mongol Khan's older brother, Kublai Khan. The power struggle between Arikbok and Kublai Khan finally culminated in a battle near the Kaifeng River in 1260. Kublai Khan won this battle and confirmed himself as the Khan's heir. Meanwhile, Arikbok was arrested and imprisoned. The Mongolian Empire, which has been divided into 4 regions, ruled by the 4 grandsons of Genghis Khan. The 4 regions are the Western Mongol Khanate ruled by Batu Khan in Russia and Ukraine, the Chagatai Khanate ruled by Chagatai in Central Asia, the Ilkhanate Khanate ruled by the Hulagu in Persia, Mesopotamia, and Anatolia, and the Yuan Khanate ruled by Kublai Khan in and around China. Even though it has been divided into 4 parts, the Mongolian Empire is still the strongest empire, with Kublai as the heir to the Khan and the main leader of the Mongolian Empire. This will be a long discussion, because the era of Kublai Khan's leadership will be the culmination of the success of the Mongolian Empire and at the same time the end and collapse for Mongolia as one of the largest empires in the world. Kublai Khan was the grandson of Genghis Khan and was born in 1215 with the name Kublai. His father was Tului, the youngest son of Genghis Khan, while his mother was named Sorgatani Beki, a princess from the Kharat tribe, one of the tribes who were important allies of Genghis Khan. Kublai Khan began to carry out invasions of other Chinese dynasties. Kublai defeated the southern Song dynasty in 1276 and succeeded in uniting all of China. After successfully controlling all of China, Kublai Khan appointed himself Emperor of China in 1271 and founded the Yuan dynasty, which was the second dynasty founded by foreign nations in China after the Liao dynasty founded by the Khitans. After establishing the Yuan dynasty in Chinese lands, Kublai Khan moved the capital of the Mongols to Beijing and expanded his influence by launching invasions of East Asian and Southeast Asian countries to expand trade and receive tribute from these kingdoms. Under his reign, the Yuan dynasty reached its widest limits with the conquest of the Sung dynasty in 1279. Apart from fighting wars, Kublai Khan also studied Chinese customs and gathered the best artists, sculptors, and cooks in Beijing to spur the country's customs. Marco Polo also brought a lot of cultural treasures from China to Italy, such as silk and cooking recipes. You need to know some interesting facts about Marco Polo's role in the era of Kublai Khan's leadership. Marco Polo was a Venetian merchant who traveled to Central Asia and China for nearly 20 years in the 13th century. He arrived in the Mongol Empire in 1275 during the reign of Kublai Khan. Polo spent many years in China, visiting major cities such as Beijing, Hangzhou, and Suzhou, and became a trusted advisor to Kublai Khan. Kublai Khan respected Polo for his knowledge of the trades and customs of the peoples of Central Asia and China. Besides that, Kublai also really trusted Polo. The proof: Polo once served as a special envoy of Kublai Khan in several diplomatic missions, and visited several parts of the Mongol Empire, before returning to Italy. In 1216, Kublai ordered the Mongol army to attack Korean territory. At that time, the relationship between the Koryo kingdom and the Khitan kingdom was not good. The Mongol army was ordered to destroy the Khitan army, and the kingdom of Koryo joined the Mongolian forces in destroying the Khitan army. After the war, the king of Koryo made a peace treaty and sent annual tributes. However, the tribute was seized by robbers and the Mongolian ambassador was killed, resulting in the angry Mongol Empire and sent its punitive troops to enter Korean territory for the second time. Fierce fighting took place in 1231, and the Mongols succeeded in capturing the Korean king and setting up a Mongol encampment to secure their territory. However, the camp was attacked by rebels, resulting in a third invasion in 1254 that ended the life of Korean royalty. In 1258, the entire territory of Korea was successfully controlled by the Mongol Empire. The Korean king fled to the small island of Jeju, then married his daughter to the Mongol Empire in 1273. This island was then used by the Mongols to plan an invasion of Japan. In the past, there were two invasions of Japanese soil which were carried out long before the invasion of kingdoms in Southeast Asia. In 1274, Mongolian and Korean troops, consisting of thousands of troops, landed in Hakata Bay with the aim of conquering Japan. However, a tsunami storm destroyed their troops and food so that most of them were forced to lose the battle with the Japanese samurai troops. In 1281, the second invasion was carried out by hundreds of thousands of Mongol troops who landed in Japan. Samurai forces do not understand the tactics of war Mongols and lost the battle. The thunder weapon used by the Mongol troops, which was first created by the Chinese Empire, was very deadly for the Japanese samurai troops. After the war ended, hundreds of thousands of Mongol troops returned to their camps on the coast and burned the surrounding villages. However, they were later destroyed by Japanese troops after a double tsunami destroyed their camp and ship. The Japanese emperor then acknowledged Mongolian sovereignty and sent tribute, which satisfied Kublai Khan and fueled his interest in attacking Southeast Asian countries such as Java, Vietnam and Cambodia. It didn't take long. Kublai Khan immediately attacked the countries of Southeast Asia, starting from North Vietnam. Kublai Khan began sending ambassadors to dozens of small kingdoms in the Southeast Asian region to demand annual tribute. However, many small kingdoms in the Southeast Asian region did not know Mongolia and even embarrassed their ambassadors. This made Kublai Khan feel angry and decided to send his troops to attack the kingdom of Champa. However, Mongolian troops were not allowed to enter Annam territory, which was then part of Vietnam. In 1285, the Mongolian army was suddenly attacked by the Annamite army. This made Kublai Khan even more angry and decided to send a second wave of troops in 1287. These troops managed to encircle and destroy Annam's capital, Hanoi, and the king of Annam managed to escape to the south. However, the region's hot and humid tropical climate made it difficult for the Mongolian forces to defend themselves. They finally abandoned their success after capturing the city of Hanoi. In 1288, the Mongol commander was dissatisfied and decided to attack the Annam region for the third time. King Annam realized that the Mongol troops would never stop attacking without a peace treaty. He then acknowledged the strength of the Mongols and sent tribute as a sign of recognition of Kublai Khan's power. Thus, the Annam region became part of the Mongolian Empire. Unlike the previous countries, the invasion of Tibet and Thailand took place peacefully. At that time, the kings of Tibet and Thailand recognized Mongolian sovereignty and agreed to send tribute to the Mongol Empire. Kublai Khan, who was also preoccupied with wars with other kingdoms, such as the Song Empire in China, did not send troops to occupy the territories of Tibet and Thailand. On the other hand, Mongolian troops were only stationed in strategic areas to ensure that these countries continued to pay tribute and submit to Mongolian rule. However, even though the invasion was peaceful, Mongolian influence in Tibet and Thailand remained strong. In Tibet, Kublai Khan appointed a Sakya monk as spiritual leader, and declared him the spiritual and political ruler of Tibet. This changed the way of thinking and the order of life of the Tibetan people. Meanwhile in Thailand, the Mongol Empire expanded its trade and exploited its natural resources, including gold and silver. The Mongolian invasions of Tibet and Thailand not only strengthened Mongolian influence in the region, but also influenced the way of life and culture of the people in both countries. The invasion of Burma occurred after the Mongolian ambassador was killed by the Burmese king. The Kingdom of Burma was a kingdom that once stood in what is now Myanmar. At that time, the Burmese kingdom was in its golden age with an abundance of troops, especially elephant troops. However, the Mongolian troops managed to overcome the challenge. In 1277 and 1283, Burmese troops undertook invasions of the Mongolian territory of China as a countermeasure. However, the punitive forces led by Timur, Kublai Khan's grandson, succeeded in leveling the Burmese capital, Pagan. The Burmese king managed to escape the battle, but in 1287 all of Burma was under Mongolian rule. This invasion strengthened Mongolian influence in Southeast Asia and changed the way of life of people in Burma. Although the invasion was violent, the Mongols also brought technological developments, such as irrigation systems, that helped increase food production in the region. At the end of 1292, an ambassador of the Mongolian Empire was sent to the Singhasari kingdom in Java, Indonesia, which was then led by King Kertanegara. However, King Kertanegara did not show respect and even looked down on the ambassador. As a result, Kublai Khan, who was then the emperor of Mongolia, felt humiliated and decided to send troops to attack Java. In 1293, the Mongol army began to leave for Java to avenge the humiliation they received. However, when the Mongol troops arrived in Java, they found that the Singhasari kingdom had been destroyed by the Kediri kingdom. The Mongol troops then met Raden Wijaya, a former crown prince of Singhasari who had fled from the pursuit of the Kediri kingdom. Raden Wijaya managed to convince the Mongols to ally with him against the Kediri kingdom. Raden Wijaya promised them gold and other gifts if they would help him reclaim the royal throne. The Mongol troops then strengthened Raden Wijaya's troops and fought against the Kediri kingdom. After winning the war, Raden Wijaya founded a new kingdom called Majapahit in 1293. However, after the defeat of Kediri, Raden Wijaya no longer needed the Mongol army. He then took the opportunity to attack the Mongol troops themselves and drive them from the land of Java. After the defeat, the Mongolian commander in charge of the expedition returned to Mongolia with the spoils of war and several prisoners. However, Kublai Khan was not happy with the defeat of his troops and punished his commander by ordering him to be tortured and some of his property confiscated. Although the invasion of Java was unsuccessful, the Mongolian Empire remained the largest and most formidable military power at the time, and they also continued to invade and control other parts of Southeast Asia. Until 1294 in the city of Khanbaliq, China, Kublai Khan faced death at the age of about 79 years. After the death of Kublai Khan, the power is getting weaker. His son, Timur Khan, was appointed heir to the Mongol Khan and ruler of the Yuan dynasty in China. However, Timur Khan was not able to maintain his strength properly. Violent struggles and rebellions occurred throughout Mongolia, including in China. After the destruction of the Yuan dynasty in China, Emperor Zhu Yuanzhong of the Ming dynasty ordered a revenge operation against Mongolia, by destroying the Mongolian capital and all its treasures. At the same time, the Mongol Empire was also preoccupied with civil wars and wars with neighboring nations such as Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan and Russia. Unstable internal conditions and external conflicts caused the strength of the Mongols to weaken. In addition to the revenge operation by Emperor Zhu Yuanzhong and the civil war, the following factors also caused the collapse of the Mongolian Empire. Firstly, corruption and people's discontent. During Kublai Khan's reign, there was an increase in corruption within the government and popular dissatisfaction with the government. This made it increasingly difficult for the government to maintain stability within the empire. In addition, during the reign of Kublai Khan, the Mongols were involved in many wars with other countries, such as wars with the Song dynasty in China and the failed invasion of Japan. These wars drained resources and resulted in a weakening of the power of the Mongol Empire. The next factor is the economic crisis. During Kublai Khan's reign, the Mongol Empire experienced rapid economic growth, but after Kublai Khan's death, the empire began to experience an economic crisis caused by inflation, excessive spending, and decreased trade. And finally, the demand for independence. Within the Mongol Empire, there were many regions that wanted independence and seceded from the empire. This made it even more difficult for the government to maintain the integrity of the empire. The combination of the above factors resulted in the collapse of the Mongol Empire after the death of Kublai Khan. In the 16th century, the Mongolian Empire completely collapsed and split into several smaller states, such as Mongolia, China, and Uzbekistan. The Mongol Empire was once a great power in world history. After the Mongolian Empire disintegrated in the 14th century, the Ming dynasty in China took power and isolated themselves from the outside world. Meanwhile, in Europe, the Renaissance began and opened an era of exploration. Although there was some contact between Europe and China during the 16th and 17th centuries, the relationship did not reach the intensity or depth of the earlier period, making the heyday of the Mongolian Empire increasingly forgotten. Meanwhile, Marco Polo, after returning to Venice, he wrote a book called The Travels of Marco Polo, in which he recounted his experiences in China and his incredible descriptions of the Mongol Empire, including its gold-roofed monasteries and ancient empires. Rich. Although the book became very famous, many Europeans at that time did not believe in Polo's stories and considered the story of the Mongolian Empire to be just a Polo fantasy. Wait, why don't Europeans believe Marco Polo's story about the Mongolian Empire? Didn't the Mongolian army conquer many areas in Europe? From several sources, we find there are several reasons why Marco Polo's story was not believed by some Europeans of his time. First, the Mongol Empire had indeed attacked Europe in the Middle Ages and became a major threat to European countries at that time. This has led some Europeans to view the Mongols as enemies, and it may be difficult to accept positive stories about the Mongol Empire from Europeans who returned from there. Second, most Europeans at that time had little knowledge of the Mongol Empire and East Asia in general. They may not be able to imagine the wealth and greatness of the Mongol Empire as described by Marco Polo. Third, some Europeans may doubt Marco Polo's honesty in recounting his experiences in East Asia. Before Marco Polo, not many Europeans had traveled to East Asia, and some might doubt the veracity of his story. However, although some Europeans did not believe Marco Polo's stories, there were also people who were intrigued by his story and started to find out more about East Asia. Over time, more and more information was discovered about the Mongol Empire and the wealth of East Asia, and eventually Europeans started to believe Marco Polo's stories. So guys, that's the history from the beginning of the emergence of the Mongol Empire to the destruction of the empire. As the largest empire in world history, the Mongol Empire provided a major influence in the development of world history at that time. From massive conquests to political policies adopted by Emperor Kublai Khan, the Mongol Empire has created a legend in world history. Although these empires experienced decline and eventual collapse, their cultural heritage, art, and political policies endured and impacted later world history. Hopefully this video adds to knowledge about the Mongolian Empire. If I am wrong in some of the explanations, please leave your corrections in the comments section. Thank you for watching this video and see you in the next video.